Cotleigh Brewery, Red Nose Reinbeer.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I have got one here from the Cotleigh Brewery, and it is their Christmas beer, and it is the Red Nose Reinbeer Xmas Ale. Fucking hell, the fucking names they come up with on this lot. And I have to say, Cotleigh Brewery are one of my favourite brewers. I've only ever had one bad one from them, and that was their porter. And the reason it was bad, there was something wrong with the yeast in that, and it gave it a horrible sour flavour. And I think that was just a bad beer that they let through their production lines, and it found my way, as is fucking normal, into my possession. And I saw this for sale, and I immediately picked it up because I really do like, despite that bottle of porter that they do, or they did, that particular bottle, I'm not saying the porter, I must revisit that porter actually, but I really do like what they do. They do an old ale, they do an ESB, they do a bitter, which are all outstanding. I've given them 10 out of 10 on all of them, and I don't know what it is, but they just get things right. Now, they've been going since 1979, and they are an original craft brewer. You think all this stuff about, just brewing beer in small batches and, pumping it out. They was doing it in 1979 in various places in the United Kingdom, up north in Yorkshire, and also down south in Somerset with this particular lot. So, craft beer isn't, I wouldn't say it's anything new. The current trend for American style craft brewing, yeah, that is new. But the actual concept of craft brewing has been going on for possibly hundreds of years in the United Kingdom, so it's nothing new. As I say, I really do like this brewery, and in keeping with me trying out all the Christmas beers in December, that is my mission now, to try the best British, Belgian, Dutch and any other Christmas beers that are available. I will try it and give you my honest opinion. But I'm really looking forward to this one because I've had quite a few beers from various brewers, German, Belgian and British, which really have let me down. And I'm not sure whether it's a thing with seasonal beers, that sometimes where they've not been brewing this all year round and certain brewers get things wrong, which, Hook Norton being the one that springs to mind immediately. Now, Hook Norton really do some really good beers, and I tried their Greedy Goose, I think it was, and it had a horrible metallic taste to it, and that's really unusual for Hook Norton. They are a good brewer. So, these Christmas beers can be a bit hit and miss. So with that in mind, let's get this investigated. Right, this is a 500ml bottle. It is a 4.5% beer. Now that is, with the British and with the Belgian and German beers, the ABV is quite high. But with the British beers, from what I've been seeing, the trend is to be sort of quite conservative with the ABV and have it as 4.5%, 5%, etc., around that sort of mark. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, but that's the average. This one is what does it say? Continuing a 200-year-old brewing tradition in Wilscombe, Cotleigh has become one of the most successful award-winning independent brewers in England, producing around 2 million pints of beer each year. Brilliant, I love that. Red Nose Reinbeer is Xmas Ale is a deep copper red and richly flavoured, tasting of chocolate, toffee and fruit. That is what I'm into when it comes to British beer. And that is really, it says serve at room temperature or slightly chilled. This is just above room temperature. In fact, I'd probably say this is about cellar temperature. Certainly no more. This room's quite warm. The heating's on. It is cold out there. So this is sort of warmed up a little bit. So let's get this beer out the bottle and into the glass. Okie dokie. Right, the cap is just plain red. Nothing to see here. Oh, I think it's got a date on it. What is it? Best before February 21. Cool. Doesn't say whether it's bottle conditioned. I'm going to say that it's not because there is nothing on there to say that it is. So let's get it out into the glass. There it is. Very similar to a lot of the Christmas beers. Certainly the British Christmas beers that I've been trying lately. What are we getting on the nose? Oh, it smells lovely. Huge caramel and toffee. That's typical of Cotleigh. A lot of their stuff have this aroma. I don't know what it is. It must be the yeast or the malt that they use. Probably a combination of the two, but they just really go well together. And that's really nice. Now I'm not sure whether there's some sort of adjunct they've put in this, like a syrup or something, because it does smell quite sweet. But that being said, the proof will be in the tasting. There it is in the glass, but I'll have to say it smells really good and it's in keeping with the other Cotleigh stuff that I've tried. Usually they use Maris Otter malt in this, which is, you know, it's the Rolls Royce of malts. Anyway, let's get it down the hatch. Bottoms up. Oh, that's quite nice. That is really nice. I can see why they said to put it at room temperature. Oh, and there's a little roasted malt coffee finish on the end. I can't help thinking though they've put an adjunct in here. Maybe some sort of sweet syrup in this. But whatever it is, it works. Now that's not normal in their other beers. It's not as prominent. In the other beers, it's all about the malt, the real nice malty flavours and the slightly sweet yeast, the strain of yeast that they're using. But in this one, it's just, I'm getting like a, how can I put it? It's almost like the old speckled hen that's got like a clingy type sweetness to it. This is sort of bordering on that. But I have to say, God, it works, and it works really well. And I'm really liking that subtle roasted malt, very subtle coffee type finish on the end. It's really good. There's a lot of dried fruit in this as well. The usual, you know, suspects when it comes to Christmas beer. The sort of things you'd find in Christmas cake. Raisins, black cherry or dark cherry flavours. The figs and dates, you know, them sort of aromas and flavours that you get from Christmas cake. But there is a sweetness to this, which is, how can I put it? I would say a slightly unnatural sweetness to it, but it works with everything else, if you know what I mean. Oh, it's really nice. God. And you do get like a yeasty, I wouldn't say sourness, but you can tell it's yeast that's giving it a flavour that's complementing this as well. And all in all, this is very nice indeed. Now, I personally would have preferred a little bit more spice in this and a little bit more hop character, because this is all about the malt, and it's very malt forward. As you know, I hate using that term. It's just malty, but it's got the caramel, it's got the toffee malt going on there. They're big, but I would have liked a bit of bitterness on the finish that just would linger. Instead, I'm getting slight coffee, or it could even be, you know, very dark cocoa filled chocolate that I'm getting. But all in all, it's going down really well. It's very full bodied. There is a lovely mouthfeel to it too. But it's sweeter than the other beers that Cotleigh do. And I can't help thinking, it's reminding me of the old speckled hen, you know, the Green King. They've all got that type of flavour running through it. It's not as big as the Green King stuff, but I am getting it. And there is a sweetness from the malt, and I'm sure there's a sweetness on the yeast as well. The two combining with that, it's one that I would drink a pint, possibly two, and that'd be it. I think it's just got a little bit too much sweetness and too much, I don't know, too much of that richness that is just not for guzzling, if you know what I mean. But I have to say, it's still a good one. I mean, I've drank half a pint of that now, and it's still making me want to drink more of it. Not really getting much of anything else apart from fruit and malt. There's no spice, there's no hop character, no earthiness to it. And it's, as I say, it is quite a sweet beer. But I'm loving it. That is going down very nicely indeed. That is another winner from the Cotleigh Brewery. So what's the verdict on Red Nose Reinbeer Xmas Ale from the Cotleigh Brewery? I love this brewery. They do some fantastic beers. This one is a really good one. But the only downside of this is, I think there's some, it just reminds me of like a caramel syrup. In fact, it could be actually caramel that they've added rather than just caramel malt, because it's got a slightly cloying type flavour to it, and that's not characteristic of the other Cotleigh beers. I think they've put this out there to, you know, make it a little bit more palatable for the people that don't normally drink Christmas beer. But either way, I don't care. It's a nice one. There is nothing bad about this. I just don't think it's up to their usual standards, because the other stuff that they've done has been absolutely outstanding. This is nice, don't get me wrong. This is going down great. And I just think it's a seasonal beer. They don't brew it all year round, so, you know, I can forgive them for that. But there's no real nasties in there. There's none of the, you know, there's no metallic type flavours that I got from the Hook Norton stuff. There's no big sugary type flavours. There's no real nasties in there at all. I like it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I would go as far as to say it would be a toss up between this and the Orkney Brewery Clootie Dumpling, which are the two best British Christmas beers I've tasted so far. I've got a couple more in the fridge, but so far them two are neck and neck. I don't think I could separate the two. Possibly the Orkney Brewery by a millimetre, but personally I think they're on a par of each other. This is really nice. I do like it, so it's going to get a 9 out of 10. I recommend it, and I will say that anything from the Cotleigh Brewery is worth checking out, regardless, you know, Christmas, whatever. It really is a good traditional British brewer. And remember, beer is working class champagne.